Coming up on Hoosier Sports Night, Indiana women's basketball challenges for the top spot in the Big Ten.
And IU water polo had a phenomenal weekend at the Hoosier Invite. This is Hoosier Sports Night.
Hello and welcome to Hoosier Sports Night. I'm Evan Kamikow.
And I'm Samantha Condra.
Samantha, Tom Brady retired.
I know. On National Girls and Women's in Sports Day, too. You know, he was trying to
selfish.
I know, right?
So selfish. So selfish.
Anyway, speaking of National Girls and Women's in Sports Day, the women's basketball team continued their winning ways as they defeated the then number 2 Ohio State Buckeyes last Thursday and went on to defeat Rutgers on Sunday afternoon. In front of a record-breaking crowd, the Hoosiers walked away with a 78-65 win over OSU after an offensive takeover in the third quarter, outscoring the Bucks by 21 points. As for the Rutgers game, it started off a little rocky defensively for the Hoosiers, allowing the Scarlet Knights to end the first quarter on a 6-0 run. But graduate guard Grace Berger went back to old reliable, her trusty jump shot, and hit 2 key three-pointers in the third quarter. Berger and senior forward Mackenzie Holmes led Terry Morin's squad with 21 points and helped the Hoosiers to a 91-68 win. Last night, the team continued its dominance by defeating Minnesota to extend its win streak to 9 games in a row. Next up, the Hoosiers head to West Lafayette on Sunday to take on the Purdue Boilermakers.
From one red-hot basketball team to another, Mike Woodson's squad traveled to College Park, Maryland to take on the Terrapins. While the fans were at Xfinity Center in full force, this game would be back and forth for the first 30 minutes. Indiana out in transition, up 5 early. Malik Renew going to drive to the basket. Nice dish to Caleb Banks, extending the Hoosier lead to 7. A few minutes later, Maryland now up by 1. Julian Reese is going to find a wide open Ian Martinez for 3. Nothing but net. Terps starting to pull away. Second half, Dante Scott gets out of trouble, passing to Jameer Young, getting the step-back 3 to go over Galloway. Young had 20 points on the night, leading the Terps to a 66-55 upset over Indiana. Here's more from head coach Mike Woodson after the loss.
We couldn't make shots. You got to give them credit too. I mean, I thought the 2-2-1 didn't hurt us, but it didn't allow us to freelance and play. And, we got the ball up the court, and then we just became lackluster. Couldn't make shots.
The Hoosiers now return home for a big one. Their first date with the number 1 overall team in the country, Purdue, on Saturday. Tip-off scheduled for 4 p.m. Be sure to follow along with myself, Josh Bodie, and Hank Joseph for your game day coverage.
The women's water polo team competed in their first home games of the season at the Hoosier Invite. Our Ashley Voss has more.
The Hoosiers had a packed weekend competing against Villanova, Harvard, McKendree, and Marist.
I'm really proud of our resilience and our ability to bounce back, whether it's one bad possession or a couple bad minutes in a quarter. Harvard is a really tough, talented team, so I was really happy with how we competed against them. But then to come back and get 2 wins today, when you're the home team, everybody's gunning for you, and I'm really proud of our resolve and our ability to fight back against that.
I'm most proud of us for sticking together and playing really well together. It was a really good weekend, and I think everyone did a really good job.
The team had lots to be proud of this tournament with multiple goals from half court, not only coming from players like Captain Callie White, but also coming from 5th-year goalie Mary Askew.
She's super solid in the cage. It's been really fun to see her grow on both sides of the ball. She loves to shoot, but we need her to make blocks and saves, and she's done a great job there.
The Indiana women's water polo team went 4 for 4 this tournament, not allowing a single team to beat them in their own pool. The ladies credit their success not only to their skills in the pool, but to their strong bond outside of it.
The team is really close, a little scary close, but it's I think it bodes well for us in the water too. They care about each other a lot outside the pool, and I think it's reflected when you see them passing with each other and communicating on defense and just really sticking together no matter what comes our way.
We're just like one big family. It's really nice to have top to bottom good relationships with everyone.
From Bloomington, Ashley Voss, IUSTV Sports.
The Hoosiers will head back out to California this weekend to compete in the UCSD Triton Invitational.
The 17th-ranked Indiana wrestling program defeated in-state rival Purdue last Sunday for the first time since 2010. Indiana fell to an early deficit as redshirt senior Graham Rooks won the only match of the first half. The momentum started to swing when redshirt sophomore Nick South won the first match of the second half. The Hoosiers would win 4 of the 5 matches in that second half to end with a 17-16 victory. Indiana will host the #1 ranked Penn State Nittany Lions at Wilkinson Hall on Sunday at 2 p.m. Follow along with our beat reporters Griffin Healy and Adam Oppenheim for all coverage on Sunday.
The Indiana swim and dive teams traveled down south to Louisville to take on the Cardinals in their last regular season meet. The men's team defeated the #17 ranked Cardinals as senior Brendan Burns broke the Ralph Wright natatorium pool record in the 200 butterfly. 2 other pool records were set in the diving well, with Andrew Capobianco breaking the 1-meter record and Carson Tyler breaking the 3-meter. The women's team, who was ranked 9th going into the meet, defeated the #6 Cardinals by just a 10-point margin. Junior Ann Fowler swept the diving events, winning both the 1- and 3-meter dives. Another sweep for the Hoosiers came from Noelle Peplowski as she won both breaststroke events. The Big Ten championships are less than 3 weeks away. The men's team is looking to defend their Big Ten title, and the women's team will try to win it all after placing 3rd last season.
And Sam, you know what month it is now?
Black History Month.
It's Black History Month. February marks Black History Month. And for the first segment of Historic Hoosier, we send it over to our Kara Adams. Kara?
Thanks, Evan and Samantha. This week's Historic Hoosier is none other than former Indiana basketball player DJ White. Originally from Tuscaloosa, Alabama, DJ came into his freshman year at IU as a McDonald's All-American and the 15th ranked freshman in the class of 2004. In his first year, DJ averaged 13 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 blocks per game. He had to redshirt during his sophomore year, though, after he broke his foot. Junior year, he came back and led the Hoosiers to the NCAA tournament as a 7 seed and a 21-11 finish. White saved his best for last and finished his senior year at IU as the Big Ten Player of the Year, first team All-Big Ten, and second team All-American. After his 4 years at IU, White entered the NBA draft and was the 29th overall pick by the Detroit Pistons. White had a hampered NBA career, never being able to play a full season because of injuries. After 7 seasons in the NBA, White took his talents abroad and played for 3 years in Turkey. White officially retired from basketball last year. His contributions and playing career at IU during a time when there was a whirlwind of different coaches has always been remembered by IU fans. That's it for this week's Historic Hoosier. Back to you all at the desk.
Thanks, Karen. With all those IU injuries, we sure could use DJ White to come back. But coming up after the break, we crown our Hoosier Highlight Athlete of the Week.
And we have more on tennis, ice hockey, and track and field. You're watching Hoosier Sports Night. Welcome back to Hoosier Sports Night. Evan, there's so many good athletes this last week in IU sports.
Too many to count on my fingers and my toes. It's crazy.
I know. We can only pick one, though, so we're going to send it over to Ashley for this week's Hoosier Highlight.
Thanks, Evan and Samantha. Today's Hoosier Highlight recognizes 5th-year women's basketball guard Grace Berger. The team currently finds itself ranked number 4 in the nation, and Berger is a key component to this success, with her being the 13th leading scorer in Indiana women's basketball history. In her most recent game against Rutgers, she scored a season high of 21 points and has scored 161 points so far this season, averaging 12.4 points per game. Berger has not only made a name for herself on the women's team, but for Indiana basketball overall by being the first player in Indiana men's and women's basketball history to have over 1,600 points, 600 plus rebounds, and over 500 assists. She has without a doubt proven to be a star player on the court, so be sure to keep an eye out for her this Sunday as the team faces off against Purdue. Samantha, back to you.
Thanks, Ashley. Last weekend, the Indiana men's tennis team hosted in-state foes Ball State and Butler. Our Kylie Corman has more.
1, 2, 3.
The Indiana men's tennis team had a field day in a doubleheader against in-state schools Butler and Ball State, following a disappointing loss at Middle Tennessee. The Hoosiers continue to dominate in the doubles court, getting the first point in both matches on Sunday.
it's a big point. I think it means more than just 1 point. I think the momentum that it creates, especially if you win it and you're at home, really can help you win matches.
Patrick Fletchel and Ilya Taraspolsky, along with Luka Vukovic and Ikanch Kumar, helped the Hoosiers get the double point against Butler. Against Ball State, the doubles round was a little more interesting. A new matchup we had yet to see, Patrick Fletchel joined by Jagger Saylor, seamlessly transitioned into this new partnership, winning their match.
Jagger and I played a little bit last year together, so we're not unfamiliar with each other's games, and I think we both returned very well today, and we get along off the court, which is always important, and I think we just brought good intensity together today.
The Hoosiers also dominated in singles, with Patrick Fletchel, who we have seen at #1 singles so far this year, struggling a bit, finally got his first 2 wins of the season.
Coming into practice each day with a positive mindset, just knowing that each day I've been progressing from the first 2 matches, and the third one at Middle Tennessee I played a lot better. So just knowing I've been progressing, and then just continuing to play my game and come into each match with a positive mindset, really, and it was good to be able to turn it around today.
Against Ball State, freshman Sam Landau swept in #3 singles 6-0 in both games. Fletchel and Taraspolsky were quick to follow, wrapping up the day for the Hoosiers. The Hoosiers will face Xavier and Dartmouth in another doubleheader next Sunday. For IUS TV Sports, I'm Kylie Corman.
Follow along with Kylie, Ben Polonsky, and Zeke Shapiro for the latest on the Indiana men's tennis team.
The women's tennis team had their final game of the home stretch on Saturday as they took on West Virginia. IUS TV Sports reporters Sam Brunsman, Michael Livingston, and Dylan Traeger have more on the matchup.
The Indiana women's tennis team looked to continue their win streak to 4 games this past Saturday as they took on West Virginia. After a long, hard-fought battle, the Hoosiers fell to the Mountaineers 4-3. Although this was Indiana's first loss of the season, they still had some bright spots. Mila Majic won the #5 singles in straight sets 6-2, 6-2, putting the Hoosiers on the scoreboard after West Virginia claimed the doubles points. Laura Snyder would keep Indiana close as she swept the No-1 singles 6-4 and 6-1. Sabi Nihalani came up with a win in the No-2 singles match. She defeated her opponent after a tiebreaker set in the second. Nihalani is now 3-0 in the singles matches on the season. She has won her last 2 singles matches in tiebreaker sets. Head coach Ramiro Asqui shares his thoughts on the team's performance today.
This match is going to hurt a little bit, and obviously a little disappointed that we couldn't change the momentum on some of the matches. I think it came down to the doubles, and we had some opportunities, and we just needed a little extra push. But obviously, I hurt for these players just because we competed. But we just needed a little extra push, and I don't think we had it today.
After today's loss, the Hoosiers will travel to Ithaca, New York to take on Cornell next Friday. From the Bloomington Tennis Center, I am Sam Brunsman, IUS TV.
Indiana will be on the road this weekend as they travel to take on Cornell tomorrow and Yale on Sunday.
Indiana baseball has begun ramping up their practices to prepare for the start of the 2023 season. Now, there are plenty of questions surrounding the Hoosiers' pitching rotation as they lost key arms in Jack Perkins, Bradley Bremer, and Reese Sharp to the MLB draft. Head coach Jeff Mercer acknowledges the importance of the veteran leadership those players brought to the team, but he's also excited to see what Ty Bothwell and some of the other younger arms can bring to the table after an offseason full of development.
There's some young guys in there, too, that have really kind of taken a step forward. Ryan Kraft has really taken a big step forward. Luke Hayden has taken a big step forward. So, you look at kind of Ty Bothwell as either a Friday or Saturday component, and then you kind of figure out the rest.
The Hoosiers will take on the Auburn Tigers in their season opener on February 17th.
The Indiana track and field team hosted the IU Relays at Gladstein Fieldhouse this past weekend. IUS TV sports reporter Joe Cronin has the recap.
The Indiana track team continues to impress after winning 13 events at the IU Relays.
When you compete against Big Ten opponents, all of a sudden the competition elevates, and you want your athletes to elevate as well. And I felt like we did that.
As it would take too long to list all of the feats of the weekend, there are some that need to be shared. Jane Ulrich had the 4th longest shot put in Indiana history, as well as the 4th longest in the country this season. The dynamic distance runners of Jake Gebhardt and Jenna Barker shattered their PRs to both be first in the conference for the 3,000-meter run.
that when somebody works hard, everybody knows they work hard. Everybody knows that lifestyle-wise, they're taking care of themselves, they're doing everything they can to be good, and then they get the result. I think that's just motivation for everybody.
Antonio Laidler, who just competed his second straight meet of a triple crown for first places in the 60, 200, and 4x400 meter sprints.
He shows up every week. He's a really good kid and works hard. He's the leader of that group and deserves everything he gets.
On the 200 meter sprint for Laidler, he shattered his career best and now ranks 3rd place in Hoosier history.
It definitely means something to me, I was really thinking about the school record. I was trying to get number 1. The time is 20.77. I just came on the track and I was just like ready to go.
After 2 consecutive weeks of home meets for the Hoosiers, they'll pack their bags and head north to the Mayo Invitational in South Bend. For IUS TV Sports, I'm Joe Cronin.
The Hoosiers will look to continue their success as they travel to Notre Dame for the Mayo Invitational starting tomorrow.
Indiana men's hockey hosted Dayton University this past weekend for a home-and-home series. But Friday night at the Frank was more than just a game. Our Garrett Drake has more.
From pink to rink night, the Indiana Hoosiers come away with a 5-0 victory presented by the Zeta Tau Alpha sorority here at IU. It was the largest crowd we've seen here at the Frank all season long.
Yeah, well, we love to support the charity. It's a very good cause, especially Zeta throws a heck of a good philanthropy game. They come out almost every year for us, which has been a wonderful experience, especially you got a good fan base, but it's also a really great cause.
I love coming and watching them play, and I think for our whole chapter, it really rallies us, and we love this event. Turnout was great. If I had to put a number on it, I'd say about 400 people. I don't think I've ever seen that many people in the Frank, so I'm really excited for the turnout. I mean, the team deserves it. They've played well all season, and our seniors should be celebrated.
For IUS TV Sports, I'm Garrett Drake.
Indiana continues their quest to the national tournament with 2 in-state matchups against Trine University and Indiana Tech this weekend. Follow along with Garrett Drake and Ben Fitzsimons for all things ice hockey.
And Sam, that's all for our show this week. Thank you so much for tuning in and hanging out with the two of us.
Yeah, and be sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at IUS TV Sports to keep up with all the latest in IU athletics. For our production crew behind us, I'm Samantha Condra.
I'm Evan Kamikow. We'll see you next week.